Hello, and welcome to episode 2 of Blue Diamond Retrospective, a 10-part series in which we are looking back at the past 10 years of Blue Diamond filmmakers. Looking at all our projects, everything we did and are currently doing, and then we'll be working on in the future, and a close at all the stuff that we didn't end up actually making. So, for this episode, we are discussing the Shadow Revenge and then what happened after the Shadow Revenge at the end of the year 2010. So, enjoy this episode and what it entails. In summer of 2008, we had finished filming The Price of Loyalty. We had gotten the film out. The film had come out. I think it was June. Yeah, the end of June. So I was currently working on the script for The Shadow Revenge. It was around this time that we had decided we were not going to make the 6-film series, where it was going to be each one based on a different actor. While we already had a pretty well-established script, which was still featured with Timothy Dalton's style of Bond. So we kept most of the story. We added a little elements of Goldeneye in there, especially with the character of Daniel Banks. He's very much like Alex Trevelyan. Sean Phillips started helping me with the writing, which was a great help of mine. Kind of the way Chris Mooney helped me out with The Price of Loyalty, Sean Phillips helped me out writing the script. So pretty long script. It was an ambitious project. I wanted to make it bigger than The Price of Loyalty. I wanted it to be a full-length feature. I was guessing around an hour and a half to 2 hours. That was my original idea of how long this movie would probably run. We started doing casting. We almost recast Jack Miller because Chris Mooney was not sure if he was going to be available. Had almost cast Miller with someone else, so it would have been a different actor in that role. I was not afraid of recasting a role, because especially considering how important Jack Miller was going to be. But it was nice that I was getting Sean Mooney that decided to come back, and Amanda Ellison had decided to come back as Moneypenny. Sean Mooney, of course, was playing M. We were going to need a new Q because we decided to make Daniel Banks, since we already knew Sean was playing that character, just to make him the same character. What if Q went rogue, went bad? So now he's up against the man who makes all the great gadgets. I thought that was a fun idea, so I went with it. So we went with that, so we realized we needed a new Q. Richard was available, and I told him he gets to play it completely like Desmond Llewellyn, even gray his hair, so we had that. Antonio Lopez, man, forget my Sean's dad, Gordon Phillips, actually plays Antonio Lopez. We got him involved. We got Avo Black, who plays a fantastic henchman, because of just how massive a size he is. He's like 6'5", and he's just so much bigger than I am that it was great to have him as a henchman. But originally the henchman was named Marcos. Then, of course, once I asked Alvo if he wanted to play the role, I just switched it to Derice and just made a couple of modifications to the character so it fit Alvo, because Alvo was just way better than anything I could have had for the character of Marcos. Marcos was supposed to be a lot like Dario in License to Kill. So the character wasn't quite the physical presence. He was much more of a sadistic character in the original idea for the script. Sean definitely wanted it to be a little bit of a heavier film. We kind of went back and forth on how heavy we wanted to make it. There are some scenes in there which these days, if I filmed that, probably would change. There are certain things that make me kind of uncomfortable when I watch them, to be honest. The scene where I slap Miranda around, I look at that now and I'm just like, I wish I hadn't done it that way. Yeah, we were trying to go for a rougher film, but it makes me almost uncomfortable watching. Me personally, as a person now, I definitely wouldn't film that scene that way. With being the main character, I was like, this is very old school Bond here. I mean, I did want it to be like Bond from the books, but there was just something about it. Having Bond do it just made me uncomfortable. Now looking back on, also the scene where he's drinking, I'm just like, yeah, I know he drinks and all, but the way I filmed it, it's very stilted, and honestly, I wish I could just, if I could cut scene out, I would cut that part out of the scene where he meets Miranda and he starts drinking. It just made no real sense. Looking back on it, there's quite a few things that would be modified, but I'll get to that. So we started getting the cast in place. We were having some difficulties with casting. We had a script read through in early November. I think it was like November 1st, November 8th of 2008. We had a script read through. Quite a few of us were there. I was there. Richard was there. Shaw was there. Gordon was there. I can't remember if he was there. Amanda Ellison was there. Ava was there. We had a number of people. Brian Mooney was originally cast as Felix Leiter, which later got switched. We even filmed a couple of shots with him as Felix Leiter, but we couldn't film the later stuff with him, so we ended up having to recast the whole role. And that's how David Laughlin ended up playing the role, so we had to reshoot a couple of shots. But late in November, we started filming. A very cold day. We filmed the chase scene, the part that was the first day of shooting. It was just me, Sean, and Oliver. That's all that showed up, so that's all we were able to film. Was that the scene, the part in the park where they're chasing each other. Then we filmed like the parking garage with Michael Lindsay as Ivanov. We filmed the pre-title sequence, the first part of the pre-title sequence. It's very distinctive when we filmed it because of how long it took us to find, to get someone to play Yuri and 003, which we struggled with. So by the time we managed to film the rest of that pre-title sequence, it was already May. So we went from November to May. We almost should have just gone ahead and reshot the pre-title sequence altogether, but we didn't want to spend time having to go back and shoot that much footage because we weren't going to get a bunch of the people we had during the November shots back. So we ended up having to struggle with just having it look totally different in two different shots, and something I've always regretted is that pre-title sequences, fun and pre-title sequences doesn't look right because it's very, it's green in one, dead in another because it's winter and then spring. So that was an unfortunate event that happened. We were on course. We were filming pretty fast and filming a lot. So it looked like summer 2009 would be the release date. I mean, there was no reason why it should be. Sean already had access to a lot of the clips. We were filming along pretty well. And then all the delays that started happening. We started having trouble finding people for the cast. We managed to land ourselves in nice locations. The Julian's grandfather gives us a really nice place to film at for the final battle scenes, which took several days of shooting to get across. There were little bits here and there that we had to film, just here and there that we filmed. Just little scenes. People are getting more and more frustrated during the project too. I remember that. Not a lot of people realize just how close that film was teetering on complete collapse. And if that film collapsed, Blue Diamond pretty much is going to be dragged down with it. I had put all our chips in one bag. Because if this film failed, then, what would be the point of our other projects? We wouldn't have been able to get anyone's confidence back that we could actually make projects again. So this was a do or die type film. We had a lot of people on YouTube starting to lose faith that we were actually going to get this film out because it started where it was summer 2009, fall 2009, winter 2009, 2010 sometime, and then finally June or July, I can't remember exact date, 2010. But people were like, are you really going to be releasing this? So there was a lot of problems. We even got a chance to film at the library, to film the MI6 scenes. We got friend Jason Shackelford played Tanner. And we got to film a nice little M's office, which was really nice. So we had a really nice office for that. We had some great locations, but it was like just these little things that just kept taking more and more time. The film just kept dragging out till finally, it was not until October of 2009 that we actually had the film filmed. And then Sean Phillips was pretty much burned out, which I don't blame him after all that. So then he didn't start working on the finishing up the visual effects until the spring. And then finally we were able to get the film out. But I mean, it was just like, everyone was just burned out. So it took time. So even though we finished filming 2009, October 2009, we didn't start filming a project that would actually get made into another film until 2011. The year 2010, we didn't really film much at all. Because it was mostly like post-production of Shadow Revenge and stuff, and people were just burned out with making movies. That's the thing. Like, Shadow Revenge almost killed us. Even if we managed to make the film, it looked like there was a possibility that we'd never make another movie again because nobody wanted to do it. Nobody wanted to be part of a project like this anymore. This was kind of, no, we don't want to do it. So, I mean, I could completely understand it. It got frustrating. It got really frustrating, really fast. We shot so many different shots. I mean, there were so many different days of shooting. I mean, it must have been like 20 days. We had those little DVD tapes. We were still using the same cameras. 18 of those tapes. We used 18. They were hour-long tapes. 18 of them. Because we were running 2 different cameras. 18 hours of footage, basically. Almost. Was being shot. It was ridiculous. It was just so much and so much and so much. And the film got longer and longer until finally I realized it was going to be a 2-hour and 20-minute film. I was like, holy crap. And then I was trying to figure out how to do the title sequence. And, we got Jake Southgate to make this amazing title sequence. I talked with the Universals. I actually got a hold of them off of YouTube. Because I heard their song Is Something Wrong. And said, hey, can I use this film? So they told me yes. It's actually... You can ask them if you email them. You could ask them if I got permission from them. Yes, I remember when they used to have a website and they even promoted the film on it because their song got used in it. I mean, it was the one time I actually got full permission to use a song in the Bond movie. So I was really happy to have that title song for the movie. But I mean, there was the whole bike chase. That was a long sequence to put together. I think that was 2 different days of shooting, maybe. No, I think maybe it was only 1 day. There was a couple of shots. There were sequences that got broken up into multiple days because we were short on people, or we didn't have everything we needed for those shots. It just got more and more ridiculous. We had scenes where people didn't really do much, yet they had to be there for hours. I always felt sorry for Kayla because she was a real trooper because she ended up not doing much in the card game scene. The card game scene took us like several hours to film, yet all she did pretty much was sit there. And I always felt bad for that because it was like, there were people that were having to be there that only did a small amount of stuff. Yet had to be there for hours because of how long it was just taking us to film all these things. It just got more and more ridiculous. It's that film that was just really too ambitious for really what we needed to be doing. I mean, I'm very happy to know that people still consider it one of the best fan films ever made. I still get people commenting on that, even though it's no longer on YouTube. I mean, there was a point where it was almost up to 3 million views. I mean, that's pretty darn impressive for a fan film, even if a lot of them weren't actually watching the whole movie. Still, just that they actually clicked on the movie. 3 million views. It's pretty impressive. It's still the longest fan film I know of. I think there may be one other fan film that's actually reached 2 hours, but I'm not sure. But I know it was the first one that reached over 2 hours and still currently holds the record as the longest fan film. at 2 hours and 20 minutes. 22 minutes, I think. But yeah, once we got it out... Also, we had trouble getting it out when we first released it because YouTube had trouble downloading it. It ended up getting jumbled. All the parts, because originally it was uploaded in 15 parts, because that was back when YouTube used to have the restrictions. So it was like all over the place, and certain parts got published, certain ones didn't. It was a disaster trying to get it out. We had the premiere night, which not a lot of people showed up. I rented out a nice room. Not a lot of people showed up. But, you know, the people that were there, they enjoyed it. But honestly, it was a little bit... some people said it was really good. Some people said it was alright. You know, it was not quite the... It wasn't quite what I was hoping for. By the time I got to the end, I kind of thought... I looked back on it and was like, we reached out way too hard with this. It was a little discouraging getting to the end and kind of everyone become, yeah, nice. So... because people have waited too long. It was like the hype had died for it. So that was a little disappointing. So, you know, we ended up finishing the film. You know, after all that filming, you know, we finally got it all done. So then we moved on. I got a job. I had had a job since basically I was ending filming for Shadow Revenge. Everyone kind of moved on. I started trying to get up another project, and that was the Contingency Plan, my baby project. This was like the big project I wanted to do. The Contingency Plan was a spy thriller that was supposed to be... the three films I drew inspiration for was North by Northwest, 3 Days of the Condor, and Enemy of the State. And... it's basically about a guy who's part of a company that he gets sent out to grab a briefcase. The briefcase full of government documents. They try to kill him. The company actually tries to kill him so they can get a hold of the documents because he figured out what's going on. So they're after him. The government's after him. Everyone's kind of trying to chase. You know, he meets a girl at one point. They're running now. His best friend gets killed. There's a lot of... It was your espionage story, you know. He's trying to, you know, prove that he's not a spy. You know, it was one of those type of movies. It was going to be really fun. I mean, these days I look back on it, I'm like, yeah, this would need a heavy rewrite. Because it was still being written at that level when I was writing Price of Loyalty to Sharp's Edge. I've learned a lot since. But... we tried to film it, and man, did we try to film it. We tried so many times. The biggest problem was, could not get someone to play the lead role, and I was insistent I was not playing the lead role this time. I was playing a character called the Rook, who was an assassin, who was the leather jacket guy, which I'll actually have a small little mini documentary about that, the whole leather jacket. That guy, that character from... because I had actually already came up with the idea of the Contingency Plan while we were filming The Shadow Revenge. So that's why that character shows up again, wearing the leather jacket. That was supposed to be a wink and a nod, because that character is going to show back up in the Contingency Plan. And that's why he escapes at the end of The Shadow Revenge, because it's supposed to be the same character. But we could not get someone to play that lead role. We finally nailed Dustin Butterworth in the lead role and started filming. We actually filmed a little bit. Just a little bit. It was not very good footage. It would have all been needed to reshoot. We were still trying to use the old cameras. This was our last real attempt with the old cameras. Dustin dropped out of the role. Everything was going to need to be reshot. Everything, all their actors had dropped. We were going to have to do it all over again. It just kept being put. And finally, at the end of 2010, I quit on it. It was like, it's done. No, Contingency Plan's being shelved. It was once again going to be another very ambitious project. I'd see it going about 2 hours. Somewhere between 2 and 3 hours long. It was very ambitious. I wanted to go out to St. Louis and film some shots. It was very ambitious for the time and the technology we had. I'm glad it got shelved because it would not have been as good as it could possibly be. 2010 also marked when we tried to make the Bond versus Bond fan film version. We were going to all film together and fight each other, cutting across with each other. Only 2 episodes got made. The 3rd episode never got finished. We had filmed some shots. The 3rd episode hadn't been finished. The 4th episode was starting to be worked on. The series got canceled. Never really went off the ground. There was it was very tough to coordinate and get everyone coordinated and figuring out what we were doing. So that series kind of fell apart. That was another thing in 2010 that fell apart. Then I tried to make a series. I actually tried my first attempt at a series. I made a little test pilot that only showed to a select few people. So only a few people probably even would remember it ever existed. This was called Myself and Tom. Myself and Tom was a series where I, Tom, being an average person, suddenly finds an exact duplicate of myself. I found out I was abducted by aliens, and they made a clone of me. And then they used that clone to study. But in the end, they didn't have the heart to kill the clone. So they sent the clone down to Earth. And now there's 2 of us. And it was supposed to be a comedy series. It was legitimately just supposed to be a silly comedy series. It didn't make any sense, really, in a logical way. Why would they do this or any of it? But it was still supposed to be funny because it was just me cutting back and forth with myself. And it was going to be like, we keep switching, so I'm able to take vacation days, basically, and he goes to work. Only he doesn't do as well. It was going to be just a silly comedy with having 2 people who are very different, but look exactly the same, running around. I thought the pilot wasn't as well received. They were like, this series doesn't look like it really go anywhere. I took their advice, didn't make it, didn't publish it. And that footage, I think, was on that old hard drive, so I think it's lost forever. The raw footage might exist somewhere, but I have no footage to really show you of that show. Oh, it was all filmed in my room, the pilot. The pilot was like 10 minutes long. It was all in my room. It was just him arriving and stuff. And them talking to each other. I couldn't even do the split screen effect. I literally just cut back and forth between the 2 of them. It made it look like I was interacting with myself. Which, this series could have been funny. If I used more technology later on, which I was intending on doing. It was just a rough pilot. But it never went anywhere. I had a few other ideas. I considered getting the bike racing movie idea back on the ground. We considered doing another TV series that would just be a bunch of friends hanging out, but it sounded pretty boring. We didn't end up doing that. There were a lot of series ideas. It just nothing went off the ground. So there we were, the end of 2010. Blue Diamond looked like it was dead. Like it was finished. We were done. We had made our 2 movies and we were done. Sharp Bench looked like it had killed us. It had been our big, successful end film, but that was it. So, rocky ground right there. I don't think people remember or realize just how rocky it was. We were done. 2010. Basically in December 2010, I thought we were over. I started doing some vlogs. Talking about everything, but it just wasn't looking good. It wasn't looking good at all. We were finished at that point as filmmakers. So that leaves off the end of 2010. Things were just around the corner, about to turn around for us. One of our biggest years, 2011. And that is for episode 3. So, I hope you enjoyed this little look at some of the stuff with the Child Revenge. I know I didn't cover as much of Child Revenge as you might think I should, but there is the whole behind the scenes, so there wasn't a whole lot more I could cover. I just really wanted to look at a retrospective and looking just how much this film nearly killed us, because at the time I made the behind the scenes, of course the movie had just come out, and so we had no idea what was about to happen. So now looking at retrospective, I can see just how much this film really almost killed us. So So episode 3 will cover 2011, and then we'll go from there. So I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I will talk to you all later. Thank you for watching.